Begin transmission. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outer Rim Transmission Podcast. This is episode number 63, our weekly Star Wars talk show. This week is a big one. I can't believe it's here already, but we are talking about the Obi Wan Kenobi series finale tonight. So hopefully you're all caught up and you're going to join us in this, what I'm sure will be a very lively discussion as it has been across the fandom over the last couple days since Wednesday. We also have our first big break of Star Wars news and celebration, and we have our first trailer for Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation, all on this week's episode. So you might notice if you're watching on video that one of our co-hosts here is in a slightly different, skinnier format. That would be Ben. So how's it going, Ben? I was happy that we were able to work out a technical. You're coming from a different location, am I right?
Yeah, hey, it's fitting. We're talking about summer vacation, and I'm on vacation at Virginia Beach right now, just hanging out, having a good time. We got here a few days ago. I got no sleep because our plane flew out Wednesday morning at 7, so I literally watched the Kenobi episode, and then I finished that at 4, and we got in the car at 4:15 and left for the airport. So it was a really long day Wednesday, but now I'm just coming from the beach, hanging out and having a good time.
Yeah, there you go. So have you been to Virginia Beach before? Is that kind of a tradition that you have every year you go down there?
Yeah, yep, that's a tradition. We've been doing it for basically my entire life, the past 25, 28 years, basically, just because we have a bunch of relatives that live in this area. So we come down here, stay with them, and then us and all of our relatives, we all get hotel rooms and come to the beach and hang out here for 3 or 4 days. And, it's always a lot of fun. I mean, so far we've had a really good time down here. I got burnt pretty bad, like Anakin on Mustafar. Like my whole left side of my body is like fried from the way I was laying. And I mean, if you guys know me, I'm about as white as it gets ghost wise. So I got burnt pretty good there. And then we went out on a dolphin viewing cruise tonight, which was a lot of fun. We got to see dolphins. I'll post the videos on social media once I get back. But we literally saw dolphins, just all over. It was so cool, except for it was about 2.5, 3 hours, and about halfway through, I don't know what it was. I literally started getting seasick. If any of you seen Man of Steel, like when Commander Zod is like getting sick and kind of like freaking out because he's like getting used to Earth, that's basically how I was feeling on the boat. I was like, whoa, like everything just started like spinning for me. And I was like, I cannot even like look like out onto the horizon because it was about making me sick. So it was a rough like hour and a half ride back to shore. So, and normally the crazy thing is I don't get seasick. Like, I don't know why that happened, but it did. Other than that, it's been a really good time. And, I'm glad I was able to make it on here onto the podcast. Perfect timing, like with all my family just doing some shopping and things I didn't really want to do tonight. I was like, hey, perfect time to do the podcast.
There you go. But I'm curious about the dolphins, man. So how do they know exactly? So cool. How do they know exactly where to go? Like dolphins just move all over the place. You know what I mean? So like that's lucky that you've seen them out there.
Well, see, where we went was around the Virginia Beach area. There's a lot of different areas that have like inlets in the coast where dolphins have almost like breeding grounds or safe grounds. So like, it's a common area for like dolphin habitats. So they'll go and like, the boats will go alongside them. And, it was so cool because the dolphins, we actually saw like a mama dolphin and a baby dolphin. They were actually in the wake of the boat, like following because they love to play in the wake. So like literally we saw them, they kept coming up and flying out of the water, doing flips, like, right in the wake. It was so cool. So that was really neat. And then some of my cousins today, they got kind of freaked out because last night, for some reason, they went and decided to look up the shark tracker app. Yeah. And we found out there's a shark, 11-foot great white named 11-foot great white named Freya. And it's 900 pounds, and it's like only a half mile like that way down the boardwalk, south down the boardwalk, basically. And that's where it last got pinged last night at about 11 o'clock, and we were like, holy smokes, that's like not that far away. So, half my cousins wouldn't go in the water today because they were kind of freaked out. But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you go in the water, hopefully those lifeguards are actually paying attention. And
well, here's the funny part. You say that, You say that. So I was joking to my dad about that in the water. I said, yo, we don't have to worry about it because the lifeguards are probably watching. And the lifeguard that was directly in front of us up on the beach, she was turned around on the phone, like facing the hotels, like facing away from the beach. I was like, well, I guess we're done.
So what's going on with you, Milton? You got any trips planned this summer? I know you're constantly outside. I know last week you were planning some plants around your place and different things. What have you been up to, man?
I mean, I've been good, man. Just just living the good simple life, just working and being the adult, I guess, of whatever. But yeah, I do like plants. I do plant things at my house in my little garden outside. That's very adult of me. I do work out a lot. Work out a lot, as you guys know. Um, as for trips coming up, yeah, I have a vacation planned. The end of July, which is the last full week, which is the week of my birthday. So I'm going down to Florida to see, some friends and family. I plan on celebrating my
Oh,
birthday that Thursday, but also celebrating it that Friday when I come back. So I definitely won't be on the podcast that day because I'll be
Yep.
traveling all day and coming back home and
yeah.
also celebrating my birthday. But yeah, I plan on doing the Florida vacation the end of July. I'm excited for that. Um, Other than that, though, I mean, I've been to Virginia Beach before too, and it's a beautiful place to vacation, and it seems like a very relaxing place, obviously, and I never had an issue going there. So, Ben, I'm glad you're having a good time.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast. A lot of good food, a lot of good places. Just it's been it's always a lot of fun here. I love going to
Right,
love checking out all the little local spots. That's always the best part about destinations versus like just a straight up touristy traps.
right.
There you go. There you go. So we're gonna jump right on in to our week in Star Wars. I'm gonna set this one off first. Give you guys some time to think about it, although it's never much of a surprise because we start off with this every week anyways. But and I don't have anything to show. You know what? I should have ran downstairs and grabbed a couple on my little work area, but I did start constructing Shadow Collective. I've put together like 40 freaking miniatures. That's what I've done over like the last 7 days. Is I've just been hard at work gluing together some Pike Syndicates, some Black Sun Enforcers, some Mauls, some Mauldalorians, or as they call them, the loyal super commandos of Maul, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, that's what I've been doing all week. I just started to put the first layers of paint on my pikes. Gonna paint them first, get them out of the way. But yeah, it's been nice kind of jumping into it. I put up a couple videos on the channel if anybody's curious about what the heck I'm talking about. And those videos always do kind of well. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should do more of these. I entered myself into a special league that's going to start on Monday for the first time. We got like multiple. We go from having like one miniature store to like three in the past like 2 years here
Hmm.
where I'm from. So that's pretty cool because if you know anything about miniature gaming, most of the time you have to travel quite a ways to find a place. So the fact that I have like three in my backyard is really convenient. So and we have enough players to start a little 8 weekly league. So I will try to remember to give my updates every week if I win or lose, or if I get crushed, or I completely annihilate the other team. But yeah, I've been looking forward to that, a little bit of organized a play coming up here in a soonish time frame. So um, I'll throw it over to Ben. Now you're over there at Virginia Beach. Is there anything Star Wars besides watching Obi Wan, of course, that you've been involved with down there?
Nothing too much really. Like I haven't had too many like Star Wars type experiences because we've been just hanging out on the beach the whole time. But it really did get me thinking when we were out in the water. I was like, man, um, I wish Star Wars would address some more of like the type of creatures like we saw from like the Phantom Menace or something like when we were in the shark discussion, for example. Like I wish Star Wars would have some more of those type of like water-based creatures potentially like as a threat for like whatever heroes for whatever stories are getting told. I think those always make an interesting impact on storytelling in general, especially Star Wars, just because everyone goes back to like Jaws and thinking about Jaws, for example. So that's my big thing. Just more of like creatively, I wish Star Wars would include more like, say, sea life and like using them as a potential threat for like the heroes of the stories. I think it would be really, an interesting thing to go about. Like, we saw a bit of that in Mando with the Bo-Katan episode, like how the guys had that creature in the bottom of their ship. Like, I wish it was more. Forget the bottom of their ship. I wish it was like a creature like attacking like the boat that way. It's like different things like that. I would say I wish they would incorporate a little more versus just like, say, the straight up, I guess you would say almost humanoid creatures like the aliens. So like that would be my thing. Just more of a like creative thought for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I think The Mandalorian has been doing wonders with that because literally the
Yep.
first couple minutes of the episode of season 1, episode 1, you see that walrus type creature grabbing the Razor Crest, pulling it down. That's when we see the good old disruptor rifle in action, zapping him. So that to me was pretty cool. And it's funny you mentioned that. I have not just, but on Monday when I seen Jurassic World Dominion. I don't recommend the movie, just so you know. I wasn't happy with it, but I mean that's a movie franchise. That's all it is it's filled with creatures, and you got to have a very happy balance because you don't want to turn into some of those Rebels episodes, some of those Bad Batch episodes, some of those Resistance episodes. Every Star Wars series does it, where it's like they focus too much on the action with the creatures, and it almost feels like not a lot happens with the actual characters. So it's like a hard line to kind of tread. There's been some sequences where it has worked, but most of the time it hasn't worked. So that's why I'm always kind of hesitant about like, yeah, you can put creatures in there, just do it right,
Oh yeah, gotta be smart about it. It's all. I mean, as we'll get into with this episode tonight about Kenobi, it's all about execution.
Certainly is. All right, so what's going on with you, Milton? I know you've been sending a lot of cool memes that you've been gathering online the last couple days, and
right,
it is pretty funny how they relate to like the current state of the fandom and whatnot.
Yes. I mean, besides that, because I'm always been a meme guy. Listen, anyone that knows me, I like to laugh at everything. I mean, I don't care if it's politics, kids, adults, old people. I'll laugh at it all. Star Wars, whatever. So anytime I see those memes, I'm going to send them out. But no, this week in Star Wars for me, actually, I sent this to you guys yesterday. So I technically was working at the time whenever I discovered this. So I had to do a late meeting with a client around 5:30. So I had some time to kill. So I was running through the town I was headed to. I was like, let me stop by a GameStop just to kill some time for like 10, 15 minutes. So I'm going through the PlayStation 4 section because I'm a PlayStation guy. Not expecting to buy anything or see anything that I want because I'm not really into like getting a lot of games except for the sports games and obviously playing Jedi Fallen Order, which I have not played yet, but it's downstairs waiting for me to play. But as I'm looking, I spot Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast.
Oh.
And I was like, wait a minute, like they made this for PlayStation 4? And again, I haven't played those games in years. I don't even remember them that well. So I was like, oh, well, I have to get this.
Seriously.
Because it was only like $25. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab it for PlayStation 4, and it came in as like a dual pack. So
nice.
Like, that's perfect. So then I see another game next to it, and it's another dual pack of 2 games. It's Star Wars Pod Racing and the Commando game.
Oh.
Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, I have them on the Switch.
It's like
yep.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I can't not get this. So like I have to grab that too. And I was like, it just makes sense to grab these because again, I'm not super familiar with those 4 games because they've been so long since they've come out. It was like early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s when they came out.
Yep.
So I was like, I have to get them for PS4. It just makes sense. So I snagged them at GameStop and sent you guys a picture of them.
Yeah, they're fantastic games. Those little classics, and it's neat that they have these double packs. Like I didn't realize they made those. I seen those, and I'm so used to getting stuff digitally now, but it is cool to see like a hard packaged like double pack like that, and it's like the best of the best. And it's like, all right, Outcast, Jedi Academy. I personally am more of a fan of Jedi Outcast because I've played through that way many times. I never even actually owned Jedi Academy. I remember going over to my cousin's house to play it on his desktop computer because at the time, I think that was like the only way I could play the game or something. So I'd just go over there and I
Right.
played like for a couple hours and that was it. I remember you could create a character. I remember we were fighting a Rancor. I remember, and I always like think about this, is they had a different style of Vader's castle in Jedi Academy. There is a Vader's castle was on this other planet, but it was like acidic rain. So like that level you had to like kind of go underneath like objects and like run to another object so you wouldn't get melted by the acid. So every
Mhm.
time I see like especially the episode tonight we'll talk about it's like, oh yeah, Mustafar. Well, eventually the castle was going to be on an acid-ridden planet, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. No, again, I don't even remember that because I haven't played a
Yeah.
game in years, and I don't think I've ever beaten it. So it was nice to see it. I was like, okay, there's finally a hard copy of it. It's for a system that I have, so I figured I would take it. Like I'm hoping that we start getting more of these older games that we liked as kids, especially like whether it's Star Wars or whatever. That's I guess backwards compatible for current generations. In the sense of like Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4, PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get those games. So honestly, excuse me, if I had to pick a game that Star Wars could redo. Now I know they're doing Knights of the Old Republic, which we all can't wait to get. But if they did the Obi Wan Kenobi game from
Oh yeah.
Xbox,
Yep.
oh, I'm on it. Like I'm dead
Oh
serious.
yeah.
If they said, oh, we're gonna release this for Xbox One and PS4 and PS5, oh, I'm buying it. I'll pay $65 for that game because
Okay.
I
Oh yeah.
love playing it. And I've never been an Xbox person, but that's the only Xbox game that I think I've played that I actually liked, and I was like, okay, I wanted to get an Xbox for that reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Chris, we've been petitioning on Twitter for that for how long?
Well, I seen the game at Columbus during the Easter weekend this year. I was at the Columbus market and I seen they had the game there and it was 70 freaking dollars because there's no way to backward. It's the only Star Wars game I feel like that's not
Yeah,
backwards compatible.
and I,
And
and I think it's
Yeah.
only for Xbox, right? Or is it for
yeah,
PlayStation
yeah,
also?
it was. I think it
Only
was an
Xbox.
Xbox. I
Only
think it was an
Xbox, yeah.
Xbox
Yep.
launch exclusive, and I think I gotta imagine the reason why is the control scheme doesn't translate
Mhm.
or something. Like I know you use
Yeah,
heavily with the analog stick, and that's why I really liked it. Every time you would
right.
swing your analog stick, it would swing the character's arm in the game to hit the saber, and that was really cool
Mhm.
because you had like these different kind of soldiers that had like cortosis weapons or something that would block a lightsaber blade. So that was crazy for me because I had never
Mhm.
seen anything like that. So they had this really cool story with Qui-Gon Jinn. It's like you gotta think, especially after like Obi Wan Kenobi series and stuff, like they should develop like a backstory for Obi Wan and
Well,
Qui-Gon.
and
Like that'd
and
be
this is
great.
why this is why I get so upset. Not upset, but this is why I get like kind of turned off by the Lego games because, yeah, I know you guys like them, and I know we'll get into it a little bit, and that's fine. I know they're very popular games, but you had a game of Jedi Fallen Order that just came out, and you had Battlefront 2 that was better received than the first one. Had its issues, but it was better received than the first one. That's why I've always wished like they need to release a Star Wars saga game that's like those, like the Force Unleashed. If you give us a Star Wars, saga game like the Force Unleashed, I'll buy that. I'll be more invested to play that because there will be. It just looks more like it's obviously looks
Yeah.
real, and I just can't connect with the Lego games like you guys can.
Yep.
So if they gave us that option too, oh my God, I'm buying it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So there you go. Some little video game talk, some beach talk, some shark talk. We had it all in this week in the beginning here. But then we have a couple things to get through. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to do our normal trivia. But I tell you guys, we are gonna do it very soon in the future. We're not done with that. It's a fun new segment that we all love here, especially with chat participating. Speaking of chat, we have Dark Nerd Gonzo, we have Aaron Daly, and just as usual, housekeeping's involved. You can find us online. If you're listening to us now, you can find us on YouTube. You can see our lovely faces every Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. We're always live. You can always check us out. You can always be involved. And if you want to listen to us on the go, we're on any available podcast streaming service. Just simply search Outer Rim Transmission. And if you want to buy some merch, we have a merch store on teespring.com. Again, search Outer Rim Transmission. Okay, so we do have one release that came out this week, and I do want to spend a little bit of time on this because I did go a little bit of it about it into detail here in one of my videos I put out this week. It has the release of Crimson Reign #5. Now, if you aren't familiar with this, it is basically the Kira story in comic book form in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Following the events of War of the Bounty Hunters, which is the whole thing where all the bounty hunters were trying to get Han Solo. Kira stole Han Solo, tried to auction her off to like the highest bidder, and basically it caused like this huge strife when the Hutts got killed, and there's a big power vacuum. And then that's where Crimson Reign #1 picked up, where Kira was the one in charge of the power vacuum with the Hutts, and she basically had all these different factions warring against one another, and at the same time, her end game through these entire 5 issues of this series was to kill the Sith. She knows that Palpatine and Vader are the Sith, and they are responsible for putting the galaxy in the state it currently is in right now. So she basically has a team of people ranging from this Force-sensitive archivist to some other bounty hunters to even the freaking Knights of Ren themselves doing different missions to destabilize the government and to strike fear in Palpatine. And Palpatine, by issue 5, has noticed what has happened around the galaxy. And, you know, somebody like him, the Emperor of the Universe, I wouldn't think he's too easily perturbed by minor annoyances, but he's seeming to actually say, like, oh, the Crimson Dawn is a threat to the Empire. So by the end of this issue, Kira basically has been sought out, and now the Empire is aware of her dealings with everything. And now her backup plan, which she had to sped along, is to create chaos with all her agents. And her agents are embedded in the Empire, the Rebellion, different factions of the criminal syndicates. So her idea is to cause chaos to disrupt everything. My whole thing with the story, these 5 issues, specifically Crimson Reign themselves, not War of the Bounty Hunters, is that this felt like so much of a setup with no payoff. And for this to be spread out over, it was supposed to be 5 months. It ended up being like 7 or 8 months because things get delayed with like the printing industry and stuff like that. I guess resources are kind of in flux. So that a couple of these issues had to be spread out longer than they were supposed to. That I just got done reading these things and I'm like, this is kind of what I'm kind of bothered by with the comics right now, is I'm not feeling like I'm getting enough big swings from the comic books to sometimes warrant being so like involved with them, which is kind of terrible to say because I've been covering these things since I opened up my channel. But I feel like right now, especially with the High Republic on hiatus, the High Republic was the shining example for me of like, hey, how to make impactful stories that matter. These other ones are kind of like we're spinning our wheels on a lot of them. A lot of these comics, I feel like, hey, hadn't we done this before? Like they're spinning their wheels in between Empire and Return of the Jedi because I guess they can't cover enough ground or something like that. But the main thing is, like, there's 3 segments of this Kira story that's going to be told. It's like the Kira trilogy in the comic book form. You have War of the Bounty Hunters, you have the Crimson Reign, and then you have the Hidden Empire, which is coming out in October, that they put in the back of the book. It's coming out in October. So I feel like all this middle stuff was not substantial enough for me to warrant even having this kind of miniseries, especially since I didn't learn anything about Kira in these stories, which is really disappointing. Because Charles Soule is writing these. He does a great job, but I don't know if like Lucasfilm is just saying, hey, you can't really tell these stories, or you got to slow down. You got to just kind of, I don't know. So that's my take. My hot take on it all is like, hey, like I wish we would see more forward progression for a lot of these stories, specifically with this Crimson Reign miniseries. Now I know, Ben, that you watch some of the videos I put out that kind of at least keep up to speed with what's going on. Do you kind of agree, or do you feel like the comics are not taking enough big swings these days? Because it just seems like they're playing kind of safe right now.
Yeah, I think this is my big critique of the comics. I would say 100%. Yeah, I check out all your videos. Like everybody, like if you're like me and I can't keep up with all the comics and everything, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like that'll help for sure. But like for me, I think the issue I'm having connecting with a lot of these comics or books even, like some of the books have been really good. Like Callus was great. Bloodline was great. The Thrawn books were pretty good.
Yeah.
The Darth Vader book was really good. Like some of that stuff's really good.
Oh
But
yeah.
then I feel like my issue with a lot of these things, like it's hard to connect with because I feel like they're not giving them enough of how would you say, like big events to use
Yeah.
for book exclusive. So to me, I've always felt like the way they're doing it is like they're playing it so safe. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great. Like hard canon is great and all, but it's difficult because then that means they're like, well, that means we're going to save every possible event plus the what if 5 or 6 what if events off those possible events for our on-screen things only, just in case we ever decide to use them, and then we'll give the books and comics whatever's left over. And that's what drives me crazy because like that's why, Milton can attest to this too. That's why the old Legends books were so impactful, because you had so many huge events in the Legends books happen where it's like boom, boom, boom. This happened with Luke. This happened with Han. This happened with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Emperor, whoever. Like you have all these massive events happening and things happening, but then in like for example, so the one book that I always reference that's so good leading into Revenge of the Sith, the Labyrinth. I think it's Labyrinth of Evil. Well, that book, in that one, throughout the book you have like this Republic officer who's slowly basically being a Sherlock Holmes investigating who is behind the entire war, aka, obviously he's hinting at Palpatine through the whole thing, or Darth Sidious, I guess you would say. So throughout the whole book, he's investigating, and when he gets to the very end, he gets killed by Palpatine, and like he literally discovers it's him, and when he goes to like escape, he's dead. Like, the Emperor force chokes him and he's dead. So like the thing is, that's such an incredible story, but like nowadays for Star Wars, for example, they want to allow that exact same story to be told because I feel like they would save that for a potential on-screen series or something, as a B-plot story for an Imperial or episode 2 or 3 era live-action series or animated series even. Like, I feel like they're just being gun-shy with stories because they want to make sure they save just in case for on-screen. And that's my like critique of the books and comics is I just feel like they don't get a big enough piece of the pie.
Yeah, and you're right, because when George Lucas kind of gave his good word to be like, hey, do your stories, like he was only ever going to do episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after that, it's like, okay. And there was no TV series really, right? There was nothing. I mean,
they killed Chewbacca in one of the books.
Yeah. And R.A. Salvatore said he would never write Star Wars again after that because he got flacked so hard by the fans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a downer, and I was thinking about that this week. Like, okay, like, I'm investing, a lot of money. I've invested a lot of money into comics, and it's like, there's been some really great storytelling, but sometimes I'm just like, all right, what was the point of this issue? I know it sounds like I'm kind of just complaining and kind of just a little irked, but there's been some seriously good stuff like the Darth Vader Souls run and the Lando mini series and the Poe Dameron series was pretty freaking awesome. But it always comes back to the current line, like the current big stuff with like Star Wars issue, Darth Vader issues. Those are the ones in that current timeline where it's like, okay, here we go. But anyway, so that was my 2 cents. I don't want to ramble too much on that because we have some cool things to talk about coming up next.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you alerted me to this, Ben, and, Obi Wan Kenobi was not even, like, completely out yet, and, the Disney promotion machine was already ramping up, and we got our first look, our first trailer at the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation. It's about a 1 minute and 44-second trailer. This thing is coming out on August 5th, so, just right around the corner, basically. We got to go a little bit over a month before we get some more Star Wars content. What was your first reaction to this one, Ben?
Well, I mean, as many of our viewers and listeners may know, my first reaction was, dang, they took my idea. Just because, I jokingly said that last September, October range, whenever the Halloween special was coming out, I said, man, Star Wars could make a lot of money or a lot of viewership if they would do a seasonal Lego special every year for, Christmas, Halloween, summer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I sent you the message. I said, "Oh, look where we are now." So I just had a good laugh out of that. But for the trailer specifically, I would say it's exactly what I wanted. Like like my idea of like a Star Wars summer vacation was pretty much exactly what we saw in that trailer. Like it looks like a fun summer vacation of Star Wars. Like I mean, there's no other way to put it. Like the characters are good. I think the voice actors do a really good job with the Legos, especially the Emperor's voice.
Yeah.
It's not Ian McDermott or even Sam Witwer, but it's still the guy that does it. It's like it's a good.
Yeah.
I guess you would say, Chris, like a good cartoony Emperor.
Mhm,
I guess I would
mhm.
say. So like I really like his character a lot. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be just another fun like Star Wars adventure, and it was a good way to kick off summer because that was the first day of summer it came out, or well, the trailer came out.
Oh crap! I didn't even realize that. That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah, June
synergy right
21st.
there.
Yep.
The biggest thing I took away from the trailer, I took away a couple cool things here. Was the brand new song by Weird Al Yankovic, who actually his likeness as a Lego character is great. It's Scarif Beach Party song, and I actually have it stuck in my head right now. I was like gonna look it up to see if they had it on Spotify or something, and I couldn't find it, so I'm gonna have to wait until August 5th to listen to it fully. But I was like, I like how they are just having so much fun. Like, obviously this is not canon because they have like the Emperor and Vader, but then you have like Ben Solo. So it's like, yeah, that never would have happened in canon. They don't exist in the same time frame, right? But it is pretty cool because you see a young Ben Solo. And at first I was like, something looks weird about Han Solo. Like I literally thought it was Han Solo. I was like, at first glance, I was like, something's off about this. It's like, oh, it's Ben Solo. I just never seen
Yeah.
him with his father's clothes on. And then you actually see the Jedi Temple on whatever planet that was that we see in Book of Boba Fett. You can see that little temple there. But I had a lot of fun with it. I like how these Lego Star Wars specials, they kind of take you throughout the galaxy. All the fun characters, again, not strict on can you're seeing Obi Wan Kenobi dancing with like a freaking Hawaiian shirt or something funny on, and then you see what is it, Jabba the Hutt like spinning around. So I
Yep.
just like the hijinks. One thing to note is they do have the good old Halcyon, aka the Galactic Star Cruiser. So
Milton's favorite.
media's trying to put that in our faces and trying to drum up some business. I don't even know like how many people are still staying there. They actually had a booth for Galactic Star Cruiser on the floor at Celebration, but I was going nowhere near that thing.
Trash.
Well,
Trash,
hey,
bro.
hey, I know, I can say this. I can speak for all of us here at the podcast. I know now, especially that you pointed that out, Chris. I know for sure Milton is not going to watch this now.
Oh, I'm not watching it. You already know. Listen.
I mean, this added to it.
Listen. I think I watched the holiday special that they did. Was it last year?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did watch that one, and it was okay. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. But after seeing this trailer, I was like, man, this shit looks like trash, yo. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
Like, no disrespect. I know you guys are into Lego, but
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Like, I'm like, because it did make me laugh when Ben sent this to us. He's like, yep, they pretty much did what they told you I was going to do. And he's not wrong. Like, I mean, listen,
That's
they're
good.
Disney, so they're going to capitalize on
Yeah.
this IP, and they should milk it out, obviously. However, this ain't for me. I'm sorry. Like, I ain't watching it. Because I was like, what? Like, again, it just wasn't me, and I'm not even saying it's just trash or not. I'm just like, I'm just not doing it. Because I'm just like, nah, because I'm not invested. Again, I still haven't even finished Moon Knight, nor have I finished the first episode of Ms. Marvel. So, like, right now, I've been so, like, turned off by, like, some of the stuff that's more, like, just goofy to me about, like, whether it's Star Wars or just Marvel or Disney in general. I'm like, nah, I'm good. So...
Well, there you have it. We're gonna have a very quiet discussion from Milton that week that we talk about the episode.
Yeah, you just don't ask me no questions because I'll be like, I'm not. No, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so there you go. August 5th, we got a new Lego special. So, hey, the way I look at it is some entertainment, nonetheless, whether it's good or bad. We'll see what happens. But Here we go. We're into the crux of the conversation here. We have a big thing to talk about, and we've all been waiting for it. We've had plenty of discussion on the previous episodes about, oh, there's so much writing on this episode. There's so much writing on this episode. So, giving you a brief synopsis, we have episode 6, or actually they call it part 6. We have the duel of the century. Obi-Wan, Darth Vader. Obi-Wan lures Darth Vader down to this planet to draw him out to give his friends a saving grace to get away. They fight, and Obi-Wan leaves his once Padawan in dismay as he realizes he is no longer Anakin. But they do get the twins back. They do get Leia back to the Alderaan, and there is a little conflict between Reva and the Owens and Owen Lars and all them over there. That was awesome with Tatooine. And Reva has a moment of atonement, I guess you could say. And we will get into that. And by the end of this episode, Obi-Wan relocates himself after saying hello there to Luke. And he relocates himself, but before he does that, he's able to meet once good Master Qui-Gon Jinn. And that's how the series ends. Whether or not we're going to get more episodes, I was expecting to see season 2 is coming or something like that. We did get no acknowledgement, but that's how the series ended. And I think, at least with adding in my 2 cents, I think it ended pretty well for what it was. Going into my overall thoughts of this episode, remember, we're going to just talk about this episode in its own solitary form. We're going to talk about the entire series as a whole next week as we, have more time to kind of ruminate on our thoughts and all that. But for me, this episode started really bad. I was like, oh gosh, because it reminded, and I didn't mind it in The Last Jedi. I know you guys will probably give me flack for it. I didn't really mind the whole chase scene in The Last Jedi for some reason.
That's a slow car chase, dude. Come on.
Now looking back, I can understand, but this was really bad. I mean, it's like, how does this ship have that kind of shielding power to survive in a bombardment from an Imperial Star Destroyer that was able to just pummel them repeatedly? Mm-hmm. And then Obi-Wan gets out, and he's in this little ship, and it's having this janky freaking movement going side to side for another 10 minutes before he decides to turn around. Okay, I get it. If you're looking at the physics of Star Wars, you can go back to A New Hope, and you can see that, oh yeah, the blockade runner was also just getting hammered for 10 minutes. But it doesn't mean that they have to do that again. I get it. They're going for the nostalgia. But anyway, so that part turned me off. But once I got past that part, it started getting better for me. Seeing the duel between Vader and Obi-Wan was good, but I still wanted more. That dialogue was too quick for me. I needed to see more of a resolution. I feel like it ended too quick. I feel like there wasn't enough there for them to just walk away that quickly from one another. Or at least Obi-Wan walked away. But everything after that, I'll be honest, my favorite part of this, I was more engaged, and maybe on subsequent viewings I'll think differently about this, but I was actually more engaged what was happening on Tatooine, because that was a legend story come to life in my eyes. That reminded me of something from the Kenobi novel, whether or not that thing happened. It reminded me of something that could have happened in Legends, where it's you have Yoen, you have Beru, and they are fighting for the life of Luke. These are 2 people that aren't even related by blood, these 3 people, but you can see how much care that they're taking to do everything they have to go against this Inquisitor. That for me was super exciting. And we all know how it's going to end to a certain degree, but still I was on the edge of my seat. And I think they did a great job at the end of the episode with really tying all the loose ends together. We get a better explanation of why Leia doesn't act like she's surprised by Obi-Wan's message. She's trying to keep it low key, as she says to Ben, saying, oh, don't really tell anybody about our thing here, and all that kind of stuff. So they did kind of tie that together. They added a lot more emotion at the end. I will say, it was great seeing the Obi Wan Kenobi come through that I seen in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones and The Phantom Menace towards the end there. That was what I was waiting for. But looking at this episode again, I'm rambling on because now I'm realizing I don't want to talk about the whole series, but I'm just trying to talk about the one episode. I liked it. I think it was good. I think episode 1 and this are definitely my favorite episodes of the entire series. I'll throw it over to Milton.
Yeah, I can echo a lot of those sentiments. So I'll break it down with my bad first, and I'll do my good. So I agree with you. I thought the beginning was kind of goofy because it did kind of remind me of The Last Jedi, which I just despise that movie. Because I'm think like the whole the slow car chase in space needs to stop. Like the best way they've done that was obviously through A New Hope when that movie started, and even in Empire when they were getting chased through the asteroid field,
Yeah.
and even at the end, whenever they get Luke and they're trying to jump to hyperspace, and at the end of Empire Strikes Back, those are the best times they've done like being on the run when it comes to space. And I mean, because it's insightful, it's suspenseful. They're still telling a good story. I still feel invested. This very much reminded me of The Last Jedi when I was like, oh, where are we going with this? Like, how are they going to just get to the action? However, I I watched it again and it grew on me a little bit, even though I still have some issues with it. It was nice to see because the reason why they did it, I think, was trying to push that Obi Wan was showing that he was selfless. He's like, hey, I know this isn't about me. You're the future. Like he makes that comment to say,
yeah, you're the future.
You're the future. I'm not. Like, and I was like, okay, I see what they're trying to set up here. They could have done it better. I'll just keep it at that. My other negative about this episode, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't impressed with the CGI in space. It looked kind of too fake. Like I felt like the Death or the Star Destroyer looked too fake, and even like that chase scene just looked too fake. Have you guys been noticing like when we get those big like circle shots of Vader inside the Star Destroyer, how the atmosphere looks ultra fake? Because I think it's because of that. What's that technology they're using?
The volume.
The volume, yeah, you can definitely tell they're using that. It's like, oh my god, like it's just so weird to me. It's just the visuals get a little off. Again, it's not trash. It's just the fact that like it's very telling because the hyperspace looks so different. The animated hyperspace looks so much better than what we get in live action, which that's a goofy to me. That's very surprising. But again, when it comes to negatives, those are probably my two biggest things for this episode. I like this episode a lot. This is probably my second favorite episode. Besides the premiere, I would say this one, episode 6, and episode 5 are probably my favorite ones.
Okay.
But like the good, I love the fight. I actually thought the fight was perfect because it kind of reminded me a little bit of a blend between obviously Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and how they kind of blended it together in a sense of like, yes, they're moving faster, the dueling is dope, but also like they're not as good with a saber anymore because they're both older. Not Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan's out of touch with the Force a little bit. He hasn't practiced, and obviously Vader is now in the suit. So it kind of got me a mix of this is what I thought the sequels were going to be, like how they fought. Because I'm thinking, oh, this is a perfect blend. Love the fight. Love the dialogue at the end between Anakin, Vader, and Obi-Wan was fire, dude. Like I thought that was some of the best delivery of dialogue in this whole series. Legit, I've been saying it to myself when I'm in the car sometimes, like really trying to act like I'm Vader. I'm like, dude, like, could you imagine if I'm Darth Vader saying those lines and he's like, what do he say? He's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. The same way I'm going to destroy you. And I'm thinking, how dope is that line, dude? And you're thinking, yeah, Anakin's gone. And I'm thinking and how they covered, how they echoed Rebels, and how they had him sliced, dude. Oh no, I can see that because I've seen that criticism, and I'm thinking, yeah, we're echoing, but that's Star Wars for you though. They do a lot of echoing when it comes to the movies, the different sequels, but we all geeked out when we saw that in Rebels, and I guarantee you at the time we all were like, could you imagine that being in live action? So it was cool to see. But thank God they didn't use the same dialogue, obviously, they used in Rebels, but they just...
But they almost used the same dialogue, dude. I watched it.
It was close. It was close. It was close. It was close.
They switched around a word or two. That's literally it.
It was close, but I understood the storytelling they were trying to tell because really they're setting up A New Hope. They're saying that from Ben's point of view, his friend is dead. So that's why to me, I'd actually think about like, okay, how is this going to reflect A New Hope? They're showing that Ben is saying, he's more machine than man, twisted and evil. You know, he's not, my friend is gone. He is Vader really, and he says Vader killed Anakin Skywalker. And what did Vader Anakin tell us? He said, "You didn't kill Anakin, I did." So it's like, okay, you're just, to me, I'm thinking about New Hope and how those lines make sense now, and how, okay, when people who actually never seen New Hope, and actually my friend Amanda, who I believe is watching this episode now, I'm convincing her to watch Star Wars with me. I just don't know which trilogy to start with yet. But I think once she eventually watches the trilogy and understands like how all these things tie in, I think she would appreciate this. I think fans now would appreciate how this strengthened, I think, A New Hope. Just like Rogue One did, in my opinion. It strengthened A New Hope. I think this 2 minutes of dialogue strengthened Ben's words in that movie. I loved how Beru and Owen were badasses. Dude, Beru's so dope.
Yeah.
We should get more of her. Like, literally, she took control. She was a star of that part of the show, or that part of the episode. She took control.
I mean, I loved Owen. I feel like
no, Owen. Owen's that guy. Don't get me wrong.
I feel like
Beru,
he stole the show for me.
I don't know. Like, I mean, like I don't know, because I expected Owen to act that way. Beru though, because beginning we saw Beru maybe a handful of times, and this whole series of Star Wars, we've never really heard her speak a sentence. We never really got an idea of her personality, except for A New Hope a little bit. But I'm talking about for her to say, "I'm not leaving my home." We knew this was coming, and she's out here opening stuff. He's like, "What are you doing?" She's pulling out 2 guns. She's like, "No, we're gonna fight." And I'm thinking, you know what? And then she had the audacity to slap old girl, which I thought was ridiculous with this whole slapping stuff. Like, come on, stop slapping stormtroopers and inquisitors. That's not how you beat them. That was ridiculous. Other than that, because I'm going on and on. Other than that, I like this episode a lot. I like how they wrapped it up. It was cool seeing Qui-Gon Jinn. I love seeing Liam Neeson. I if we do get a season 2, I don't know what they're going to do at that point with the season 2, because I really feel like they're gonna. It's hard to tell another adventure, especially if they want to include Darth Vader. It wouldn't make sense to include him in season 2. But if they do tell a season 2, they need to keep it. I guess keep him on Tatooine, which I don't want them to. Overall, I like how they wrapped up the storyline. I love the Leia stuff. I loved Bail Organa. I loved his wife. And the final criticism, I apologize. I thought the lighting wasn't great with that fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. I know it was dark, but that's my problem with this overall show, was the lack of creativity when it comes to planets and some of the visuals.
Yes.
Alderaan looked dope.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. We need more of that in Star Wars.
Yes. Alderaan and Tatooine, and Dayu was really, really good. The Hong Kong-inspired location.
Oh, yeah. That was, again, I like that planet. And I liked Alderaan, but everything else was just like, come on, I'm tired of seeing rocks.
Yeah, exactly. When you go out and announce a series, say Duel of the Century, you're not just saying, "Oh, we're gonna have a duel." Like, this is gonna be the best duel in Star Wars you've ever seen. And it's definitely one of the best ones. But in all the duels we've seen in the movies, they've been backdrops of like freaking molten lava over pits of electricity, nuclear plants, or even freaking.
Yeah, I mean, like even the
battles going
Death
in the
Stars,
background.
Yep.
They're just
and
fighting
that's the thing,
on
though,
a desolate planet.
Here's what's funny though, and I mean, I know Ben, I know you're a huge Campea fan. Like, I'm not his biggest fan, but I have seen his episodes sometimes. And this is where I think the 4 of us can agree on this. Sometimes Star Wars is very cagey in how they market, and they market stuff and they hype it up like, oh, this is how it's going to be. Like Kathleen said, rematch of the century, and I'm thinking, oh, bet it's Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. They're going to bring the thunder, which I believe they did. However, the promotional art shows them on Mustafar or on a volcanoic planet, and you put them on some rocks. Yeah. Like, come on, man, you got to match that energy, because I guarantee you, if they would have put him on Mustafar, can you imagine him losing again on Mustafar? I'd be like, bro, that's great right there. That's great storytelling, because again, it'd be like for some reason he can't get over the hump with this guy. And I've seen people complain about, he shouldn't have lost. He shouldn't have lost. That's ridiculous. It's like, no. It makes sense for him to lose.
He has to lose.
Obi-Wan's the only one that can get in his head like that. Besides his son when he's older. Like Vader, Anakin cannot get over Obi-Wan. He's that obsessive over him. That makes so much sense to how Obi-Wan knows how to fight him and knows how to get in his head. Why do you think he's been hunting him the way he's been hunting him? And even Palpatine confirmed it. He's like your old feelings for your master.
Yeah,
it's clearly affecting you in your own way. And he's like, no, he means nothing, which is bullshit because you know how he goes to A New Hope still looking for Obi-Wan. He knows he's around. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. It's like it makes sense why he lost.
Yeah. So quickly, because like me and Milton are taking this whole conversation.
sorry, Ben. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We'll have you give your 2 cents, and we'll have a more formal discussion, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No. I mean, I can echo virtually all the same sentiments. On the beginning of the episode was not great. I would say basically the first 10 minutes was not great. And the rest of it, it picked up. As I messaged you both, I really enjoyed the fight. I thought the lighting was a little bit weird. I think it was a little too dark for my taste. It kind of gave me like Game of Thrones, the Night King, Chris, like if you've seen the whole Night King battle, how it's basically pitch black. It felt like it was very dark. Other than obviously the lightsabers. And then, of course, like you mentioned, Milton, like the dialogue between Vader and Kenobi, I thought was really good. I do wish there was a little bit more of it. Like I could have done maybe another 1 or 2 scenes, on, 1 or 2 scenes cutting back and forth with them talking a little bit more. And then,
you know what though, Ben, you're right. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you imagine if they would have cut some flashbacks in between this?
Yeah.
Honestly. They could have shot this
through the Mustafar fight.
That, or they could have shot it to where they created some new scenes from the Clone Wars or something. I mean, it could have been something like maybe because on Arrow season 2 we always reference Arrowverse. I know, but whenever Slade and Arrow fought at the finale, they showed their first fight ever when they were on the Omezo ship and how they intercut that. So dope. But they could have done it like this. Continue.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then. Between that and then the Reva and Luke stuff, I thought was done really well. They edited that really in a good way where it didn't like kind of mess up canon, like implications for canon and whatnot. That was nice, the way they did that. And as you both mentioned, I'm glad you both did. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, I thought were excellent. I thought Beru was really great in this finale. Overall, of course, Joel was playing Uncle Owen really well in this series. He did a phenomenal job.
Awesome.
But I think Bonnie Pierce, she did a great job. Like I did not expect Aunt Beru to like say, "Hey, time to go to war." Basically, like
exactly.
I did not expect that, but that shows how much she cares for Luke. Like, and that makes us look at her totally differently in A New Hope, which is nice because her and Uncle Owen, for that matter. So I really enjoyed their character arcs. They did really well, and then of course. Getting Qui-Gon at the very end was awesome. I was getting nervous. I don't know about you guys, but as the time was ticking down after the Owen and Beru stuff resolved, I was like, man, are we not going to get Qui-Gon in this series after all of this foreshadowing? I was like, man. Come on. I was like, come on, please, please, please. And then we get him, which was excellent. Like, and of course I love it. Qui-Gon and him giving their little kind of like friendly banter, which was nice. And then, yeah, I just thought they did a really good job overall with the episode. And as you mentioned with the possibilities of season 2, I mean, they left the door wide open for that because, you have all the potentials with Qui-Gon. Obviously, you can go a different story route. I think literally if you take just say this season alone and say there'd be a season 2, they closed the door on the Vader front because now Vader's basically irrelevant because the Emperor shut that project down basically now until A New Hope. So they're going to go in a different direction with that. And then I think they literally built themselves a way in because Obi-Wan can now leave Tatooine whenever he would like, whether it be for like the Andor show or other series, because he literally tells Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, Luke's, all Luke needs is you two to protect him. And that's basically like them telling the audience, like, hey, here's your answer if you complain about Obi-Wan leaving. Like he basically gave them permission to protect Luke. And the thing is, they earned it, I would say, because
Right.
if you would just have Beru, see, that was the issue with us going into the series when Obi-Wan left the planet. You're like, wait, why can Beru and Owen just stay there, unprotected seemingly with Luke when Obi-Wan goes off with Leia? And then it's now like, oh wait, they actually have pretty good battle skills and ideas and plan, preparation skills. They're like those homestead preppers, on like Discovery Channel, So they were ready. So now they earn their stripes basically for us as an audience, where it's like, okay, Obi-Wan can leave Tatooine and Luke's probably going to be pretty safe. I mean, they basically fought off an Inquisitor for the most part. So yeah, I think overall the series or this episode did really well. And the music for the Vader and Obi-Wan fight, one more thing to mention, the music for the Vader and Obi-Wan fight was excellent. Like, I thought that was much better than most of the music for the entire series. And that's not saying much because the music hasn't been that strong, but it was a big step up, I would say.
It didn't even dawn on me that there was music.
No, yeah, that was good. I forgot to mention that. That music was fire.
Really? I'm got to go back and watch it. I've only watched
Oh,
the
it
episode
definitely
like
was
one
good.
time, so yeah, I know it's crazy. Usually I've watched it like 3 times by now, but I've just been really busy this week, and I'm like, all right.
So here's my, and I'm sorry to jump in here, guys, because I am excited about this episode because I like
Go
it.
ahead.
But and I know we're probably going to talk predictions next week whenever we
Yeah, we're
do
gonna talk
overall
next week about that,
breakdown.
yep.
Like you know what idea I have for season 2 if they really wanted to. Let's say season 2 and 3, just because again this show is called Obi-Wan. Imagine if they went back, or they show his training. Like let's say the next 2 seasons is him training with Qui-Gon about the living force, blah 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 blah. And he does a couple side missions, nothing crazy. But let's say they go back and just show like his beginnings as like a Jedi apprentice or something. Like take those Jedi apprentice books and adapt them into like some flashbacks for him while he's like training and going on side missions. How dope would that be?
That would
Just-
be perfect.
I'm just saying that's just me. Again, I'm conflicted about what season 2 could be because me and my brother were talking about this the other night, and I have no idea where they would take season 2 because you can't use Darth Maul because we know what happens to him in Rebels because that's when he shows up. You can't use Vader. What other enemies out there that Obi-Wan would want to go up against to force him to leave or travel on the other side of Tatooine, But yeah.
Yeah, so let's dive into Reva. I don't think we've spent a lot of time talking about the character in general. What'd you think about her ending and her resolution?
It worked. It worked for what it was. Now I think we kind of knew this was coming because all the reports are talking about, this might be a spinoff of her and all that stuff, and it just makes sense because it's Disney Star Wars. They'll spin off anything at this point. But no, I was fine with her ending. I think it was nice that she didn't want to become Vader, and it's nice to see that because I think a lot of us has some issues with how Kylo was quote unquote redeemed so suddenly. I felt like Reva kind of earned it, in the sense of that she the whole time was hunting Vader because she's she's all about her friends and her past and trying to get justice for her other fallen Padawan friends. So it made sense that once she saw this boy and how she was going to strike him down and how those memories came back to her and how it was haunting her, she couldn't do it. And I thought it was well done. I thought it was powerful. I thought some of the dialogue could have been strengthened a little bit, but I wasn't hating on it. I actually liked how it ended, and my only critique is that, okay, now she knows that Anakin's Darth Vader. How does she not say nothing to nobody about it? Like she just keeps that secret and goes off and does whatever. I mean, that's where I would criticize that, but other than that, though, I was pleased with it.
Yeah, there are other people in canon that know Vader is Anakin. For instance,
Right.
Thrawn knows that he's Anakin.
Absolutely.
Sabe,
But the difference
the
is, though,
prior handmaiden, knows that he's Anakin later on in life.
Mm-hmm. The thing about Thrawn, though, Vader knew that he knew. Like, he knew that he found out that, and he almost died because of it. Like, because of that. Like so, and I mean, facts. I mean, and Vader thought he killed, Reva, and obviously, and I don't think the Grand Inquisitor knows who he is, but And Tarkin, he's not going to threaten Tarkin. I mean, it's Tarkin.
Tarkin.
So, I mean, see, it's Tarkin, though. So he's not going to go up against Palpatine's number 2, because at this point, Tarkin is Palpatine's number 2. People forget that.
Yep.
So, like, for her, because she's such a minor character, it's like, do we really want to give her that responsibility to keep that secret? But it's whatever. I mean, I have to trust what they're doing.
I don't understand what she's doing in this part of the story, if you ask me. Like, okay,
exactly.
So last we see her, she's down on the ground. She's basically left for dead. So why does she care about Luke at this point, or whoever the hell Obi-Wan's for? Like, I don't understand the motives. The motives are not there at all for me. I feel like if you just got left for dead by the Inquisitors, why is the first thing you're gonna do to go to Tatooine? To kill this boy that means like nothing to you, because like that's not even your objective anymore. You're not even employed by the Empire. Why are you still doing your mission if there's no point to the mission? That to me was just
I think
bizarre.
Well, her mission, it wasn't even a mission anymore. It just became personal. She's like, well, I can't kill Vader, so I'm gonna kill the thing that he doesn't. That's close. Well, she doesn't know. He doesn't know about him, but she thinks, well, if I kill him, I'm taking away something that he'll never have.
Wait, so she knows that's Vader's son?
That's how they pretty much do it, right? I mean, they kind of insinuate that.
I thought they just said, "Oh, there's this boy that I have to bring back" or something. I don't know if they made a reference.
I was thinking Bale. I was thinking Bale in that hologram was implying that they were Vader's kids. I thought that's how Bale was talking. That's what I got out of the episode too.
Yeah, but go ahead.
My thing with it is, I mean, I'll talk to you guys about it off camera, but like, my thing is with the whole sequence, as you mentioned, Chris, like it feels almost like disjointed, where it's like, why? Like you're not an Inquisitor. Like to me, as you mentioned, Milton, I think the entire sequence played out well. I think it was Moses Ingram's best acting by far of the series, and I think it was all shot really well, played out really well. As we mentioned, Uncle Owen and Brune, the whole sequence was really well. Everybody in the whole scene, the lighting was really good. Everything was well. It was just the inherent why behind it. And to me, it just screams, of course, as you mentioned, Milton, like we all had an inkling she was going to turn good eventually, just because I hate saying, oh, it's just because it's Disney, but like we've seen characters turn good so many times, and it's just facts at this point. So
and also too, what wasn't there rumor and innuendo that they had to shoot this finale, like they had to rewrite it multiple times or rework it because of like the potential of how the show could be?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to talk to you about off camera.
Okay, yeah,
but,
I got you.
But yeah, I mean, there was rumors around that and different things around that and different chatter around that sequence, and that's exactly why to me this whole ending sequence feels disjointed. Because there's missing parts to it, and it's an incomplete story. And then my issue with it is not to like pile so hard on this ending, is a lot of these things and rumors and things out there point to be true, because Deborah Chow literally just this week, she was in another interview and she mentioned how, again, to me, all of these different interviews that she's been having just scream that there's going to be a second season, because she literally said in an interview again, this was intended to be a limited series, but if we find some more good stories to tell, we'll see. So like to me that just screams a second season, but it screams it's farther out than sooner. And I would say probably early stages, they probably don't even know what they want to do yet with it. But like to me, that's why they left it so open-ended here at the end, because potentially, say, a season 2, you could have Obi-Wan doing his thing, Reva doing her thing. And also on top of all this, the big issue that arises from this entire ending sequence to me is, as you mentioned, Chris, like someone's running around out there with like knowing Luke is Anakin's son, and then you have, I mean, to me, I feel like wouldn't Obi-Wan be concerned? Like maybe panicking? Like, what about after all these good feelings happen, after he's like, okay, Reva, thinking to himself, okay, you turned good, let her go her way. What happens a week later when he's like, oh, man, I just let that chick leave with the secret after I just had this good feeling? Like, what's up with
It
and then he's
ended
gonna have to go
weird.
hunt her down or something. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just too. It ended too quick. Like, I get it. Like, it's cool having somebody not die for a change. Like Ben Solo died, Darth Vader died, but like, in
This
the
is
same
huge.
token, it's like this is like information that Obi Wan has killed people for knowing before. You know,
Yeah.
just one little thing, and she's magically gonna turn away from it all. Like that just seemed like
Well,
it was too rushed.
I mean, hey, look at how. Okay, in let's forget all the books canon, all the comics, all the legends, anything that's not Disney era. Let's just strictly look at Disney era launch screen. Well, Obi Wan already has killed somebody because of it. Look at Darth Maul. Darth Maul, when he's sitting there talking to Kenobi, he's like, "Who are you protecting?" And and Darth Maul is like figuring out he's protecting somebody, and then Obi Wan's like, "Okay, it's on," and then takes him out in 2 seconds. Like, so to me, it's like Obi Wan has literally killed Darth Maul within like seconds of him finding out.
And there's yeah.
Just,
And we
I don't know.
can come up with like all like the nuance of this, right? Because it's
Yeah,
like you see this person coming up with what could be a dead body. Like if I were the parents of whoever the hell was like bringing my kid's corpse to me, I'd probably want to shoot them before they even got close to me. You
Mm.
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like their reaction was just like, huh?
Especially
Like
in
they
this
did not
case
react in a
with
way that a
Luke being the
normal
choke. Yeah,
like what the heck? Like it's not like she didn't say right out front. She didn't say like, "Oh, I saved him from falling" or something. Like it's like what is it just was very odd to me how the reaction was from all parties, from Obi-Wan and from the Lars about how it's like, "Oh man, like okay. Did you like kill him and you're bringing us the corpse?" I don't know what the hell.
yeah. After you
Yeah.
just held us hostage and everything, basically,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's again. I mean, we harped on it a couple weeks ago. The directorial choices, like I said, I mean, Deborah Chow's done a good job. She hasn't done an amazing job, and it's just showing. Maybe, I mean, here's the thing too, to like be realistic too as well. This was shot during the pandemic, and they shot it basically, from what I understand, strictly in the volume. So that's why they've been so limited with so many of these different shots and sequences and things like that. But to me, even with all of those caveats, The Mandalorian does such a good job with the
I'm about
volume.
to say, yeah.
And
Yeah.
like how I just don't, to me, I just feel like it's just a lack of experience on the director's side, which maybe, who knows, if they do a second season, it'll be a lot better because, I mean, let's be real. Look, like Dave Filoni's first live action episode in Mando season one was not great by any stretch. And to me, that was the weakest episode of season one of Mando. And then his following episode in Mando season two with Ahsoka was phenomenal. You could tell he stepped up his directing game by a ton. So there's a chance maybe Deborah Chow, after getting all of this under her belt, like maybe it'll be a better a better product. And that's if she is the director of the series. Like we have to caveat that as well. There's a chance she may not be the director of the series if they do another season. So there's always that possibility as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so we talked about the plot point with Tatooine pretty well there. Let's talk more about the duel. So
Yep.
I mean, as I said, I was like, and this does not go for the whole episode. This spans, and I'll talk about this more next week. Um, just the impact of, I just don't know if there was enough time granted to Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, maybe in separate scenes on their own. Ruminating about their feelings toward one another because it seemed rather quick. Okay, I killed Anakin, and I will kill you. And then Obi-Wan just says like one thing and walks away. Like I expected Obi-Wan to maybe try a little bit harder, just because he didn't really try at all that much the last time they had met. So I thought like, okay, maybe he's really gonna try to get through to him.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, I get it. It is really good dialogue, but I was just like, oh, for me, it just seems like it resolved a little quick for my eyes. It was effective, but it was like I was expecting, I guess, a little bit more talking. There was a lot of fighting. Like I was expecting them to like talk, as soon as Vader got off the shuttle, but it was like go 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 go. Like, a minute and a half of dialogue and then end scene. So I don't know.
I mean, that's what we got in Revenge of the Sith, though. I mean, at first they talked, and then he's like, you will try, and then all of a sudden flip,
Okay.
bang, 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 and then the only time they paused to talk was whenever they were on those lava,
The lava surfboards, basically.
yeah, pretty much. And he's
Uh,
like, Chancellor Palpatine's evil. From my point of view, the Jedi, that dialogue. And again, they go back to fighting, and then obviously he's, spoiler, gets cut up. So to me, like, I think I was actually okay. I wanted the action because, first of all, if you guys could have watched me and what I was doing when I was watching this episode,
Yeah.
I was literally on the treadmill
oh my gosh.
at like 4:45, no, 5:45 running, and whenever he did the whole Obi Wan pose,
Yeah.
dude, I geeked out heavy.
Did you like yell out loud?
Yep.
I was like, because I'm
Some
thinking,
people
let's
are probably
go.
like,
Because
the hell's this guy
dead
doing
ass,
over-
like I was so like hyped because I'm thinking, this is the Obi Wan we wanted to see. Because I'm thinking, oh, he's ready to bring the wood. Because when he does that pose, like he ain't playing around.
Oh yeah,
So,
I was saying he's back.
I was geeking out hard, and I can't wait for later because my brother was watching the episode right now with my dad,
Oh.
and he's gonna call me later, so I cannot wait to hear what his thoughts are on this episode. But yeah, like I was geeking out heavy when I saw that. I liked the duel. I had no problems with it. I love how brutal it was because literally it was very physical than what I thought we would have gotten. Like literally, like Obi-Wan is like touching him and like putting his hands on him. I'm thinking like no one ever touches Vader like that. But Obi-Wan's doing it. Like he's bodying him a little bit. And even Vader was bodying Obi-Wan, so I liked it was brutal. And I loved how they showed how brutal and vicious Vader was with the Force and how he talked a lot of shit about, oh, your power has come back, but the weakness is still there. That was a dope line. I thought that was cool. And I also liked, the way they moved their sabers. Like they could fight. Like Disney. This is what we want out of a dual lightsaber. Okay, these people actually trained to do this fight. Clearly, Daisy Ridley and Kylo Ren did minimal training. Sorry, but those fights were trash. This is what I thought we were getting in the sequels, and I loved it. And I loved how at the end that Kenobi's like, man, freak this lightsaber, bro. I'm using the butt of it, and started wrecking his chest piece. Like how smart. No one thinks about hitting him in the chest. It's like if you and I, the three of us, was fighting in a boxing match or something. Someone punched us in the chest and knocked out our airway. We're struggling. And it made sense. I love that. I just how brutal this fight was. And I loved how they really went into it. And it wasn't even a long fight, which I appreciated. So I was cool with it. I loved every minute of it.
Ben?
Oh yeah, I mean Milton. I mean I feel like you're nailing so many good points tonight, Milton, on your monologues here. Like I mean I echo virtually everything you said. The style of fight, the even though it was shorter, I feel like it was good quality. As I mentioned earlier, I wish it would have cut a couple more times with some more dialogue in between. Like, I wish we would have had something more of like Obi-Wan being more chatty about Padme, like taunting him or something like that.
That's
I think would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll give you this, Ben and Chris. I will say, if I had to critique it, I will say it'd have been nice to get some cuts of like him mentioning Padme or even mentioning Shmi. If he'd have said, if he'd have said, man, your mother's rolling over in her grave right now, not to that extent, but if he'd have mentioned something about Shmi, can you imagine like how powerful that would have been? But you're right. Continue.
Oh yeah, it would have been great, man. If we would hear General Kenobi saying "rolling over in your grave," that would be the best line in Star Wars. But for real, I think the whole duel was really really good. And as you mentioned too earlier, Chris, like the whole scene, the scenery of it just felt kind of weird. Like I don't know, it just felt basic in my opinion. Like it was really basic. Was the set like is it just a deserted moon or something? Like I don't know.
Yeah, it was so random.
You're right. That was
there was no importance to the planet. It was just like they were on this planet for no reason.
Yeah, to me, from what I've read, like just looking into it, when I was on the plane and stuff, it sounds like that was like a moon in the Mustafar system, like somewhere around, where the Inquisitorius is, like another one of those moons, basically. But even at that, it's still like, why not just fly down to Mustafar? So like,
Yeah.
so you have that, but like overall, I think the fight was good. I did love the whole mask thing where Obi-Wan busted it, and like you heard Anakin and then Vader. Like I thought that was
Oh,
cool.
Yeah, that was
the
tight.
And
That
then
sound
was
like
tight.
design was sick.
the sound design was perfect. I don't know what it is, even though obviously it's painful for Darth Vader, but I love hearing when Darth Vader's like struggling on his breathing. I think that is such a cool sound.
Yeah.
Um,
But
Yeah.
and then I really like the shots when the mask got busted, where they part of it was like blue. Like that was when
Yes.
he was still talking about Anakin, and then when he started going to Vader, it went red. And maybe
Red.
fans didn't notice that, but
I
that's like
noticed
literally
it.
that's like symbolizing, him like he is Vader now. Like,
Loved it. And here's the thing, Hayden, you see he smiled when he said he's like, I killed Anakin Skywalker. He smiled.
yep, yep,
And
I
I was
saw
like,
that
dude,
too.
he's vicious. Like it felt like a horror film. Like that
Mhm.
particular part felt like a horror movie. The
That's
way he
crazy.
talked. And that's why I liked how this fight ended, because especially, and we haven't even mentioned this, when he's yelling, Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, like he screams that twice. It's like, damn, dude, like he's not over this, and it's
But
like he's probably thinking, man, I
yeah,
got wrecked again.
it's neat because I mean, as much as I was kind of like taken away from the Rebels moment, I was like, ah, we've been here, we've done this. This dialogue sounds the freaking same as well. I think it had to be done because
Hmm.
Obi-Wan had to like see that it was Anakin. Like
Absolutely.
he had to be definitive in his reasoning to Luke. Like no, that like literally that's it. And so it was cool to see like those two characters with the eye
Mm.
contact and yeah, like you said, Milton, about him smiling. I guess I didn't pick up on that, but that's crazy to
Watch it
me to
again.
like
Yeah.
think. Yeah, like I said, I've watched it 1.5 times. I tried to watch it again, but it was too late. I fell asleep, and it's not the quality of the show. It's just I've been lacking sleep. But anyway, uh, like me conceptualizing it and thinking about Darth Vader smiling, like that's
Hmm.
crazy for me to think about. Like,
Yeah. No,
holy
I loved
crap!
it. I mean,
Like seeing
it's an
Vader with like smiling behind his mask. Like
yeah.
imagine that.
Like
Like wow.
he legit, like his jaw. You can see his jaw
Yeah.
structure, and it moves. I'm thinking, wait, like did he smile when he said that? And that makes it even like better, because it's like he's truly embracing, and he truly believes he killed Anakin Skywalker off. He's done. And that's why I think Obi-Wan's like, then my friend is truly dead, or whatever he says. Now, I didn't like, I forgot to mention is what I didn't like about the dialogue. He's like, goodbye, Darth. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was
Like, I'm
weird.
like, okay, that was
I
kind of
think
goofy.
if you want to like headcanon justify it, it's because I mean, look, he calls him Darth in A New Hope as
Yes,
well.
yes,
Like
yes.
that's the only reason
That's the
why.
only way. But I think it'd have been more powerful if he said, goodbye, old friend, or something like that. I mean, if he just, because that would have been like touching. I'm like, oh, he still kind of believes that he's redeemable, maybe, but he knows
Yeah.
he's not, you know. But yeah, it is what it is. But overall, again, I love this fight. This is probably my top 5 Star Wars fights. I'll be honest with you. I love the brutality. I love the mixture of prequel and original trilogy fighting. This is. I told my brother this the other day. Ewan McGregor's Obi Wan Kenobi. Like I love Alec Guinness. He's the guy. He's the OG. But Ewan McGregor's Obi Wan. Facts.
I honestly think they're at a point, in my opinion. I think they're just like we've talked about how many times how Ewan's done such a good job on transitioning toward Alec. I just think they're at a point. If you watch them, I think they're just two entirely different characters. Honestly, like just the way they portray Obi-Wan. Like the more and more I watch them, like just seeing them in action, like Ewan's version in action so much, you know, it's just that like I hard line in the sand, younger Obi-Wan versus like mentor Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
Because to me, like this, like Ewan to me is the great, I would say more action based, etc. And then like you have Alec's version, obviously, who's more like the wiser mentor version. Because to me, I still will like stand by. I think one of the top 10 all time scenes in Star Wars is like Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan giving the whole Clone Wars and Vader spiel to Luke
dope.
in the hut. Like, I think that is one of the top 10 scenes. And like, to me, like, that is Obi-Wan. But then you have Ewan's version, who is like Obi-Wan as well, in an entirely different way, because I could never picture Alec's version being an action like this at all. So like, it's so hard to like tell, which one I would prefer. So like, that's, it's just a coin flip for me. And to me, Ewan's done such a good job of simultaneously like transitioning toward it. And it makes me wonder too, like, if we get into season 2, if they'll move ahead a few years, because that's another comment, by the way, in that interview Deborah Chow made. She jokingly said, we have another 10 years before we get to Alec Guinness. Like, she literally said that. So to me, it's like, it'd be cool if we get into like, say, the next season, and like Ewan's beard is like grayed out even more or something, just to like signify more of a transition toward it.
And let's be real here. We got the technology to probably blend them together a little bit to like show that transition. Yep. And here's the thing. You mentioned, and Chris, I wanted your thoughts on this too. Like, Ben, you mentioned that, it's kind of, you don't know which one to pick, or, who's what. Honest to God, whenever I watch the original trilogy, I know that Alec Guinness, obviously, as, Obi Wan Kenobi, and I know that's Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Like, nothing tells me. Even with the animations, I'm thinking, oh, that's Alec Guinness, that's Obi-Wan, that's Ewan McGregor.
But they play it so well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because the mannerisms are so good. Like, you can, like, those are the characters. Like I know Alec Guinness' version was Ewan McGregor's version. Like, it's not like, man, like, they're so different. But no, that's the same guy.
Yeah,
even animated. Yeah, animated. John, what's his name? Who's the voice of the animation version of him? Jonathan Taylor, or no?
John Stanton?
No.
No, wait, Steven Stanton does old Obi-Wan in Rebels.
He does old Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
James Arnold Taylor. There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
Even his version, I'm thinking, oh, that's Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness.
Yep.
Like I, what I'm saying? Like, that character, Obi-Wan is the Derek Jeter of Star Wars. Okay, I tell anybody, when you want to have a clutch moment, I always say, I just had an Obi-Wan moment, because he's so clutch. Every time you need a big hit, just Obi-Wan. You need to fire.
How about the killing blow, so to speak, on Vader when he lifts all the rocks? It's like whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, this is how you use the Force.
Yeah, like, we've never seen Obi-Wan do that before.
Obi-Wan out here he's out here doing Matrix stuff with the Force. I'm thinking, that's how it should be, bro. Legit. Y'all don't understand. If y'all was watching me run on the treadmill, I'm legit like a child, geeking, watching this.
Actually, I've, thinking more and more about it, I really think that sequence in a lot of this episode, to me, like we all mentioned, we've enjoyed this series for the most part. It's been good, etc. And we'll get into our full series discussion next week. But my thing is, I don't want to say it like in this way. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. So to me, this series, like, this may sound bad, but this series felt like an Obi-Wan prequel series to what we were expecting the series to be. So what we got in the season finale, I feel like, is what we were expecting for all 6 episodes. So to me, this felt like a prequel to the actual series we're hoping to get in season 2, if there's a season 2.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, Chris, can you repeat? Because I did read your Facebook post. I think it was your Facebook post or your tweet. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, let me bring it up real quick. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I want you to read that, because and I know that's about the entire show.
Yeah, it's about the entire show, but I'll read it now. Yeah. All right. So I said, overall, Obi Wan Kenobi was, fine. It started off strong and ended strong. It suffered in the middle with the lack of any progression for certain characters, making their big moments at the end feel very rushed. I also thought the overall production, quality, sets, cinematography, music, etc., was not what I expected with Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I prefer this not to get a second season, as I feel it could take away from the great ending of this series.
Mm-hmm. Now, I bring it up because of what Ben was saying, and here's the thing: as much as I like the show, I agree with what you said. And again, I wouldn't even mind if we got a season 2, but that's what I'm saying. I'm conflicted about it too because I wouldn't know where to take this in season 2.
Hold on.
And on top of that, though,
Hold on 1 second, guys. What? Hold on. We got everyone back going. Ben, are you here? Well, you're on the phone.
We are live, people. We are live.
We are live, people, from the beach.
Yeah. But well, honestly, what I was saying is like, I understand why you made that tweet or that Facebook post. It makes sense because this show was up and down in the middle. You know, the visuals weren't the greatest, except for some hits there. The music was hit and miss. It does felt like this show was inconsistent at times. Great beginning, great ending, in the middle. What does it sound like to us again? Kind of sound like how
Bad
Batch went.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know. And am I looking forward to a season 2? I told you guys, I'll watch it. I'm not excited for it, you know. And now Obi-Wan, because I love that character so much, I'm excited to always see Ewan McGregor, but I don't know where they're going to take it. You know, I think there needs to be some adjustment made when it comes to writing choices, when it comes to, and Ben brought this up, directing choices. Stop with this short episode crap, you know, make it an hour for each. I think this is where the show suffers too. You could tell that last episode has some things cut out of it. So if they would have gave us an hour-long episode, I think it could have fleshed it out, made it more rich. Even though it was a good episode, they cut stuff out of that, and I think they meant it for something else.
Yep. Oh, they definitely did. I mean, you can tell, even without just the different things out there about the finale, you can 100% tell there was more there for the story than what there was. And it's like, okay, even if you wanted a second season, you know, based on like everything, based on the numbers, etc., I feel like you should have let the season play out and then just make a new story, you know? Like that's my thing on it, is like, why potentially change it when you could just continue the season on? Like, so I don't know. It's tricky in that regard. And then, like, yeah, I mean, it is hard. Like, if you rip off the title of Obi-Wan and are like, oh, do I want a second season of this? Then it's like, maybe. Like, because, like you mentioned, Chris, your Facebook post was pretty much dead on. Like, strong at the beginning, and in the middle, strong in the end. Like, and that's pretty much what it was. Like, it definitely had some ups and downs. So it's just like, all right, where do we go from here? And they open up so many cans of worms potentially with Reva knowing information and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just it's a tricky balancing act, I would say.
Yeah. So, are there any final touch points you guys want to talk about with this episode before we go into our scores? And
yeah,
I would say real quick. I would say with me, one of the nice touch points. I feel like a lot of people probably noticed it, but it's still worthy to bring up. I love the fact they made Emperor Palpatine look like the original Palpatine from Empire Strikes Back. The actor was named Clive something. I can't remember his last. But he didn't look like Ian McDermott, which is awesome to me. He actually looked like the original Emperor.
Yeah.
So like I thought that was incredible they did that. Like that was my just other little cool takeaway from the episode. But overall, like, I mean, I feel like we've really talked about a lot of these good points. Oh, I did think it was cool, like Owen, like, you know, reconvening with Luke at the end. You know, of course, Obi-Wan saying hello there. Like, you know, we complain about cheesiness and stuff in Star Wars, and that was definitely cheesy. But hey, we needed it. Like, it's just a funny little haha. Yep, that's a Star Wars moment. So, you know, I didn't mind it. But yeah, those are just some other, like, I guess I would say little just tidbits to wrap things up.
Yeah, I again, overall, I liked the episode. Were the things about it I didn't like? Of course. It was definitely in my top 3 favorite episodes for sure. I think the show was inconsistent at times, and I think anyone watching this podcast, or hell, anyone who watched the the entire series can probably tell you the same thing. You know, I felt like the direction was up and down. I think Ben and Chris, you guys did a good job of pointing that with the director's choices. But other than that, with this particular episode, I thought it was a strong finale. I thought it wrapped up what it needed to wrap up. It did leave it very much open-ended. So most likely, guys, I can probably bet if I had to put a number on it, we're getting a season 2 at probably 65%, 70% at this point because of the fan outcry of how much they liked it, the viewership. Those viewership leads into dollars for Disney and for their platform. So if they're getting all this, the most likely we're gonna get a season 2. But yeah, I like the show. There were some critiques. You cannot watch this show or this episode thinking there wasn't some issues with it. Unless you just want to be quote unquote blinded. And that's not me being negative. Is the fact that there were some things in here that just didn't work as well. But overall, I like the episode.
There you go. So we got Milton, we got Ben, both enjoying the episode. What would you give it score-wise out of 10, Milton?
I think I gave the premiere a 9 out of 10. I
think so.
Yeah, it was 9 out of 10. And I consider the premiere both those episodes together. Like that's all one episode. This episode, because it's probably my second favorite, probably an 8.25.
Fair score. Ben?
Yeah, I would say, this is probably my second favorite episode as well. The premiere was a 9. I would say this one's a 8.5. It had some good moments. It had some, the first 10 minutes was kind of but I would say the final fight sequence was good. The ending sequence with Reva was questionable just because if you look at it from like a grand scheme of things, like, okay, right, what was the point here? The overall wrapping of the story I thought was really good with Owen and Beru and Qui-Gon at the end. I thought was really good. But yeah, I would say it's about an 8.5. It's my second favorite episode of the series.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I got to give it a rewatch before next week's episode, especially after the discussion. This is definitely, you can tell, like, this is a lot more of a positive discussion on this week's episode of Outer Rim Transmission compared to the last, 3 weeks. We were kind of down on the series. So it is nice that, we are positive, right? We go with the flow. If something's not good, we call it out on it. If it's something great, we'll praise it, right? So everything about what I said in the beginning, my mind hasn't changed. Overall, the good outweighs the bad, which was pretty much just in the beginning, the first 10 episodes that we all have said. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8 out of 10. Originally in my head, when I first watched it, I gave it a 7.5. But I think with knowing more of the subtext that Milton was explaining and different things like that, it actually did end up helping me like the episode more. Sometimes discussions often do with me. So there you go, an 8.25 and an 8.5, and we got Aaron Daly giving it a 9 out of 10 in the chat. So everybody seems to really enjoy this episode, which is great because I don't want to think about. There's always detractors from the episodes. Art is subjective, right? But could you imagine if they didn't? Could you imagine what our discussion would be like if they didn't pull off any of this? Like, ooh, man.
Oh God, if this was, if they would have done some off the wall stuff where we didn't make any sense. Yeah, that or they would have broke canon entirely. I'd have been like, wait, what are they doing? I think I told you this beginning of this series. If this show didn't work for me, I'm like, no. I don't think I would watch another one because I'm like, this is ridiculous. Because you cannot take a crown jewel like Obi Wan and make him trash and wreck this show. But they did that with Luke, so it's whatever. It's what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like, there was an overall positive feeling with this episode. Now, of course, you see people on social media. This is why I always unfriend half the people on Twitter, anyways, because it's always negative. But people are talking about, it's woke with Reva redemption, blah blah blah. It's like, what are we talking? People's thoughts sometimes, I don't get it. Not everything has to be a political, woke, feminism, all this stuff about Star Wars episodes. It's Star Wars, people.
Well, to
it's
me, here,
lightsabers. You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
It's mystical powers. I don't mystical powers and lightsabers have nothing to do with what our real world's going on today.
Not at all. 100% agree with you there, Milton. And to me, that's a thing as well. Like, you can't use like the woke thing as an excuse to critique. To me, it, like, just to be straight up, like, if you think Reeve is a trash character based on what you saw on the show, then she's a trash character. That's fine. It's a critique. But like, don't drag like the real world stuff and project it onto a character in a fictional universe. So like, that's my thing when it comes to that. Is like, just watch it for what it is and judge it for what it is, and don't project onto the series. You know, that's always like the big issue, because
that's the easy thing to do.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Oh wait, what happened to the fifth brother and the fourth sister and the Grand Inquisitor? Like, dang it! Like, I wanted to see more of those characters.
Oh, you see them in Rebels.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the one thing. But it's like, dang! I wanted to see the fifth brother do some cool stuff, man. But oh well, we'll see him die in Rebels. That's about it.
Right.
So yeah, guys, you can catch us next week. Come with your thoughts on overall episodes or parts 1 through 6 of Kenobi. We'll get into some speculation further into what could happen for the future of the franchise, whether it be spin-offs or direct sequel to the series. Next week's going to be a biggie too. There's a big. I know we were talking earlier about canon and about how books are just not giving free rein to do anything these days, or not anything, but a lot of things, which is kind of contradictory to what I'm about to say. We have this little book coming out written by Adam Christopher called Shadow of the Sith, and just in the excerpts alone, it's already explained a lot of things from Rise of Skywalker, including the parents of Rey and the whereabouts of what Luke was doing in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, and what, you know, all these really juicy details with the daughter of Lando, her actual name. Like, this book actually could kind of break my rant that I had earlier on in the episode. So I'm very excited. I see somebody on Twitter, you know, people use hyperbole online quite a bit, right? This is the best thing ever and whatever. But, you know, somebody was like, oh, this is the Shadows of the Empire of the new canon. And I
saw that.
I literally replied to the guy, said, oh, you got to watch your words carefully, man, because that is some high praise.
Yeah, but because when you say that, like, not to like say on a down note, but I do recall a lot of people saying Last Jedi was Empire Strikes Back, and well,
bro,
so
don't even, that's disrespectful.
I just can't when it comes to comparisons like that.
Yeah.
When you're comparing something to like the best thing ever, like when you're comparing something to like the arguably the best thing ever, like don't do that.
The only movies that I've ever compared Empire to is Godfather 2, because those sequels are tight. And even Superman 2 is actually good, I think.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, so like miss me with that trash about The Last Jedi. I mean, I'm not talking about you, Ben, but like people out here, like, come on with The Last Jedi. You know that movie ain't good. I'm sorry, but that's just me.
It's good. It's really, put it this way, the movie's really, really good if you look at it in a vacuum. If you look at it as like a film itself, like,
that's a not Star Wars movie.
Rian Johnson's editing and his directing and his cinematography and everything involved from a director. It's great. It's a great directed movie that takes a lot of big swings, and you know, I appreciate it because, and I don't know why I'm going on a rant about Last Jedi, but I feel like I got to get ahead of this. Because he's actually trying to make Star Wars in a different way that's more interesting.
Yeah.
I've talked to one of my good friends, which is my brother-in-law's older brother. Me and him go see movies, and he's not the biggest Star Wars fan, but he literally said Last Jedi was the best Star Wars movie he's ever seen, because he's more of like a film guy. He does not have like a direct like bias like we do towards Star Wars, but he's like, from a film perspective, I've seen each movie like once. Like, this is like, in a modern type of design, this was like the best constructed of the Star Wars movies they've made yet. So I could see that way, but like from a lore perspective and everything else.
Wait. So let me back up. So when he says best constructed of the modern one, like, what's he trying to say?
Potentially cinematography.
Like just the way the storytelling was.
Oh, you can
He
definitely tell the movie was trying to be deep. Like I
yeah.
get that. Like I won't criticize that. And I know the cinematography was on point. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll give that to Ryan Johnson. I remember when they announced him as a director, I was like, yo, this guy knows how to tell stories. So
Yep.
like that'd be dope. But
I
you know
mean,
what? It's just like again, I don't want to rant about it. Obviously, I just think like again, he's not a trash filmmaker because I like Knives Out. Like I know
let,
he's good at this,
let's
but
let's be
he
real.
wasn't built for Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
let's be
saying?
yeah, let's be real on this though. His cinematography would have been 10 million times better for this series than what we got
Oh, without
for
question.
Oh yeah,
Kenobi.
yeah.
Without
Like,
question. I mean,
There
and
weren't
Ryan
any
Johnson.
like when I look at a Star Wars movie, I see things like Last Jedi where you have like Luke standing in front of like the shuttles and like the dust is
Mm,
kicking up. Like that's something I could have on my wall, whether or not I like the moment or not. It looks beautiful. Like each Star Wars movie and thing, like Mandalorian has many sequences where it's just like
mm,
whoa. I didn't get a
yeah.
single thing of that, other than maybe a shot of Alderaan or two. Like
Alderaan looked gorgeous.
other than that, there was nothing that stood out to me as like, oh my gosh, I gotta have this in a frame on my wall behind me
Yeah.
or something.
Right. It's like they made this. It's like they made the settings and planets like real cheap.
Which
You know.
again, we'll talk about next week more. But it's like you have less episodes of Mandalorian. This was originally
Exactly.
supposed to be a movie. Plus, this is your flagship series. This is why people are subscribing to Disney Plus for the entire year, is to watch this freaking show, and it showed because literally it got like the biggest numbers out of anything on Disney Plus so far. So you would think that the sky is the limit to like just
Hmm.
pour all your funds and your
Dude.
resources. Like
Yeah. All the
screw
money
it
in the
if
world,
it's
dude.
not a
Yeah.
movie, put more money
yep.
Yeah.
into it maybe. I don't know. I'm yelling at
Give
the
us
clouds because I'm just
Give us
like
Kato Nine more. Just give us Kato Nine Mordia. Like, give us
yeah,
that planet. No,
yeah,
I'm
True.
serious. Like,
Yeah.
you can give us Kato Nine Mordia. You can give us Coruscant. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would love to see Coruscant again.
I
What
just
what what
don't
does
think that would make
Coruscant?
sense in a show though.
No, I know, but I'm saying, well, what does Coruscant look like post? Revenge of the Sith. Like,
Well, it's
no
funny you
one talks
mention
about.
that, Milton.
It
In
was supposed to be in Rise. It was supposed to be in Duel of the Fates movie.
about 2 months from now, we'll know from Andor
In
season one.
Andor, yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
True.
hopefully Andor, gives us like, how even Rogue One gave us more like,
Yeah.
different type plan. I mean, come on, man. Like, look, yeah, let's go.
All right, so tangents aside, we really liked Obi-Wan this episode, and we're gonna talk about it in its entirety next week. So we hope that you guys can join us. Again, I'm gonna have my first impressions on Shadow of the Sith, so stay tuned for that as we record next Friday at our normal time at 9 o'clock Eastern. What are you guys up to this week, Ben? How long are you gonna be in Virginia Beach?
Well, I'm going to be here until Monday night, so I'll be back late Monday night, back home, and then I'll be back to lifting starting on Tuesday. Back getting the diet kicked back in. I'm kind of just on a diet break right now, just kind of chilling, eating good, having a good time, So enjoying myself here on vacation, and then just going to get back to training starting Tuesday morning and start. As long as these burns are feeling better. If these burns aren't feeling better, then it may be extremely painful lifting. So we'll see about that. But yeah, that's all I'll be up to the next few days, just hanging out on the beach, having a good time. Yeah, I'm probably still talking Star Wars with you guys and people online because that's just can't resist doing that. And
Can't
you can
resist doing
find
it.
me. Oh yeah, and you can find me pretty much on Instagram at Real Ben Maynard.
All right. What about you, Milton? What are you going to be up to this week? You going golfing or anything fun?
No, not this weekend. That was last week, and I went golfing, which I need to probably go again. I actually played fairly decent. I'll give myself credit. No, tomorrow I'll just be getting up in the morning, go and work out. But I have a wedding to go to for my cousin tomorrow afternoon, so that should be nice. I'm not looking forward to the reception
Huh.
because we're having the reception on a farm, so and it's going to be hot. So I'm
Oh,
just
it's
like,
gonna be
ugh.
it's gonna be almost 90 degrees tomorrow here where
Yeah,
I'm at.
facts, dude. I ain't hype about that, but I'm looking forward to the wedding because it's an indoor wedding at a church. But
Nice.
yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow. So working out in the morning, get my core and cardio done, going to a wedding, going to a reception, and then Sunday I think I'll probably just get some stuff done around my house and just relaxing and getting prepared for the upcoming week because I have vacation coming up, like I said, in a couple weeks. So I'll be getting stuff together, and you won't see me a couple times on a podcast probably towards the end of July, people, because of that. But in the meantime, if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Milton, the number 7 Weber, or on Twitter at Milton Weber 7.
Alrighty. And you guys could always check in. You're already in the right place if you're watching. I'm sure you're probably most likely subscribed to the channel. This week I'll be talking about some Star Wars comics. We have like 4 issues coming out in a single day. Gotta love how Marvel just like puts out like 1 issue a day for a month, and it just randomly puts out like 4 on the same day. So I'm gonna have fun talking about Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra, Han Solo issue number 3, and Obi Wan Kenobi issue number 2 this upcoming week. So I'm gonna be busy on top of painting miniatures, on top of reading a brand new Star Wars book. So it's going to be crammed full of Star Wars stories for me to tell next week. Until then, I hope you guys can join us, as always, in the live chat or download us on any of your favorite podcast streaming devices. That's going to do it for me. This was Milton. This was Ben. This is I, Chris, a.k.a. Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with you always. End transmission. All right.